Boom! We are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. And I thank all of you for being here wherever you may be. And of course, however you may be listening. Well, your favorite Iowa Hawkeyes defeated Troy Trojans, I believe it is, 38-21. And it was a really unusual contest in a variety of ways. It wasn't a complete and utter beatdown in every facet, the score, the flow of the game. It wasn't one of those where Iowa is up from pretty much the first quarter 21-0 and steadily puts the game away. So I'm just going to be giving you guys my takeaway. This is of course my post game show that I always do. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do it live today, but that's okay. Sometimes that is the case. So let me start. I'm just going to delve right into it, save a lot of time. Be sure to smash that subscribe button, like, comment. You guys know the drill. The more you guys comment, the more you guys like, the more it helps the video out, the algorithm, and the video being promoted. And I thank all of you guys who have checked out the content already. So let me start where I was right and where I have been wrong 3 games into the season. And I'm going to use this as a catapult into discussing Iowa's 38-21 victory over Troy. Where I was wrong that Iowa's defense would be the best or one of the best top 3 defenses in Phil Parker's era, tenure. There's still a lot of time left. That's the good news. And it's not as though Iowa and their defense has completely and utterly fallen off the rails. But if you look at their performance outside of Illinois State, which of course should be taken into account, but that's a FCS program, their performance against Iowa State and now their performance against Troy leaves a lot to be desired, especially through the pass game. And I did say coming into the season that was the one area that was slightly concerning. Iowa did not have a proven opposite starting corner from TJ Hall. They had guys who have played and have shown some solid, legitimate streaks of play that they are capable of holding down a spot in the Big Ten and things like that. But they're not like a Michael Ojemudia or Riley Moss where we have game after game and we know that they're going to be solid. Cooper DeJean. That guy for Iowa is Jermari Harris. Now, I don't think that the 2 long touchdowns that Iowa gave up to Troy was all TJ Hall's fault, but the touchdowns were on his side nonetheless. But it's kind of hard to see for sure because our viewpoint does not always pick up exactly where they began and where they ended the route and kind of who picked up who or didn't pick up who over the course of the route. I think it's likely that TJ Hall definitely screwed up in one way, shape, or form on the touchdown. Whether it be his eyes are not disciplined, whether he's not quick enough and he's getting beat on quick routes. Maybe he doesn't have the long speed and that's how he's getting burned. But either way, Troy saw something and they went after it. And to tell you the truth, against Iowa State, it was much of the same thing as Jalen Noel totally schooled Iowa's secondary. So that is concerning. I wouldn't say that I expected this because I didn't. I actually thought that Iowa's secondary would be one of the best in the entire country on top of the linebacker group. If anything, it was their defensive line. But I told you guys that their defensive line, a lot of people were concerned about. I was not one of those people. They were not a proven commodity, but they had the guys, they had the dogs up front that they needed to make things happen. Aaron Graves, 6'5", Y.A. Black, 6'5", 300 plus pounds. Really, we just needed to see it in action. We needed to see those guys really start to culminate and put some stats on the board. But we did see Deontay Craig. We saw Ethan Hurkett. We saw some of those guys. And we just needed to see the depth in some of the younger guys that were really catapulting themselves into the starting lineup develop. Aaron Graves has been I almost said it. That was almost my first F-bomb on this stream. He has been an animal dominating the defensive line since the beginning of this season. So hats off to him for that. He's been playing great, and it's not a surprise. I love the switch that Iowa did from him playing defensive end to D tackle, because now he's an extremely athletic, strong D tackle. Could he probably play strong side defensive end much the same way that other longer like AJ Epinesa and guys like that have played? And now Ethan Hurkett's playing. Yes, actually, AJ Epinesa may have played weak side defensive end at Iowa, but in the NFL, he's strong side. So that is one of the areas that I have been wrong, is Iowa's defense. They are not, at this point, at this juncture, giving me confidence that they are one of the best Phil Parker defenses in the country. At this point in the year, they are behind where Iowa's defense was last year. And last year's defense was one of the best Phil Parker defenses in the history of Phil Parker defenses. But again, the good news is the tires have not, or the train has not totally come off the rails, and they're still doing decent. And I'll show you guys the team stats. It's not like they were lit up for 400 yards of total offense, but there's still a lot to be desired. I mean, against somebody like Troy, who had what, and make no mistake, and I did the game preview. You guys can go and check it out yourself. I showed you guys Troy has one of the worst offenses in the entire country. Their offense is worse than Iowa's offense. So there is no reason that Iowa's defense should not have limited Troy to less than 15 points today, or I would say 17. If you would have told me that Troy was going to score 21 points today, I would have been shocked. Now, where was I right? I told y'all that and I said this many times during the preseason, multiple times. I said that Iowa's offensive line will be improved. Their run game will be improved. And thus far, the offensive line, Iowa's run game is one of the best in the entire Big Ten, if not the entire country. Okay. Caleb Johnson is, if he keeps running like this, he's going to make a case for Doak Walker Award. Okay. That's how good he's running. I mean, he's had multiple games now where he's almost hit 200 yards. He's had 100 plus yards each of his 3 games. And don't forget, against Illinois State, he didn't even play the whole first half. Okay. And he is becoming the running back that we all knew he could be. I have said time and time again that physically, muscles, his physique, the way he looks, Caleb Johnson looks like an NFL running back. He is Iowa's workhorse running back. It's very interesting, though, and I guess this is one of the areas that I would be wrong, is I completely expected LaShawn Williams to be RB1, especially after he was able to carry the load last year. But not only is that not the case, but he is firmly at the bottom. I mean, he's like behind Caleb Johnson. He's behind Josiah. He's behind Kamari Moulton. And it's kind of crazy. That's a guy who had 800 yards rushing last year. But that's the running back position for you. At any given year, a guy can be here or here or here, or it can change. Now, obviously, if you're a legit running back year in, year out, you're going to be solid unless you're completely injured. And yes, LaShawn Williams is working his way back from an injury, but I was not expecting him to be this far back. All right, let's keep it pushing. So Iowa's offense scored 38 points, but again, I was correct about Iowa's offensive line, and I will take credit for that. And it's good to see. And that definitely is a bright spot. If Iowa's offense can continue to run the football this way or close to it, they're going to win a lot of games. And if they don't, it will be a stunner. It will be not because of Iowa's offensive line or lack thereof, but rather because Iowa's defense can't find a way to get it together, and they're continuously allowing big plays. And let me tell you guys something. The Big Ten is wide open, okay? Ohio State is here, but Michigan is not as good as people thought. The Big Ten is wide open. Iowa absolutely can contend for the Big Ten championship. That is why they need to get their crap together. Now, keeping this moving along, Iowa's offense scored 31 points today, which is good. That definitely is a positive step. One of the touchdowns came on a Jamari Harris pick six, which was a solid play by Jamari Harris, and I'm glad to see it. I think he will end up being an NFL draft pick and be a NFL corner. He's 6'1", he's got good size, and he is absolutely a veteran at this point. But Iowa's passing game still has a lot of work, okay? Cade McNamara, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up now, the stats. He was efficient, didn't have a ton of incompletions like what we saw against Iowa State, but there's just not a ton of major plays. Like with Cade McNamara back there outside of Illinois State at this point, it's very average. It's very much mediocre. There's not really much room for big play action, whether it be to Luke Lachey or Caleb Brown, or outside of the first game, it's kind of just dump, small play. So again, it wasn't as bad as against Iowa State. It was an improvement. But Iowa's passing game still has a lot of work to do. Okay. Yeah, Iowa should not have only been up at home 14-10 to Troy. Okay. So there's still a lot to be worked on, guys. Make no mistake. So Cade McNamara. And if you guys want some, total kissy kiss, a kissing Iowa football, you guys can go somewhere. I'm going to tell you guys like it is, because I want Iowa to win football games, and this is what they need to do to win football games. Cade McNamara was 19 of 23 for 176 yards, 0 TDs, 0 INTs. That is literally a picture perfect average game by quarterback. Okay. They barely get over. Actually, they're just under 200 yards. They don't have an interception, but they also don't have a touchdown. They don't make any mistakes, but they don't make any big plays. And it's just kind of, Iowa did have, but it was better than it was against Iowa State. It's not really saying much because Troy is Troy, whereas Iowa State is Iowa State. And it is concerning because if you take Iowa this week against Troy and have them play Iowa State again, we would see much of the same performance. And so what I'm getting at is, while it may seem like there was a step in the right direction, if you take into account the lack of talent that Troy has, and again, I did the game preview, Troy has one of the worst defenses in the entire country, Iowa would still struggle passing the football mightily against Iowa State. I don't know what has happened to Reese Vanderzee. I don't know what has happened to Luke Lachey. I don't know what has happened to Caleb Brown. And this is insane considering how effective Iowa has been able to run the football. It is insane that they are struggling so much to pass the football when they are dominating running the football. It was good to see Brendan Sullivan. I saw some people commenting on the game thread that I had going on. Why is Brendan Sullivan in there if he's only going to make one pass or he's just going to run the football? Because, guys, they're trying to change it up. They're trying to put a more athletic, mobile quarterback in Brendan Sullivan into the game to add some red zone flair. But again, that is concerning. If your starting quarterback does not have what it takes to put the football in the end zone consistently, then that's concerning. Okay. Brendan Sullivan, and this has been done before to have a more athletic quarterback come in, that should only be used sparingly. And if it is used a lot, Cade McNamara, when it's not used, should be capitalizing on his red zone trips at least over 50% of the time. At least. If not, I would say upwards of 70. Okay. So he was 1 of 1, 2 yards and a touchdown. And so Brendan Sullivan had a nice flip touchdown. And this to me is why I believe Brendan Sullivan should be the starting quarterback, because he does add the other element. Is he a far and away better passing quarterback than Cade McNamara? No, but he will add some other elements that will help this Iowa offense that needs all the help it can get. Cade McNamara, and this is the thing that Iowa coaches just now are starting to realize. When you are not able, well, number one, if you are a conservative offense, number two, if you are an offense that does not have the talent of an Ohio State or a Michigan, you still have good talent, but not as much as Michigan, Ohio State, or Penn State. You need to find a quarterback that has other elements that can make up for the lack of. The worst thing you can do is have quarterbacks like, a Spencer Petras or, some of these guys that are not mobile and can't add any flavor to the offense. And hopefully the future is bright with that, as Iowa has recruited more mobile quarterbacks. And Cade McNamara is not slow. And yes, Nate Stanley was very successful and was slow as dirt. But, that's just my thought on it. Caleb Johnson, 25 carries, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6.9 average. Josiah Patterson, it was good to see him get in there and be successful. 8 carries, 72 yards. I've always really liked how Josiah Patterson runs the football. I think he runs hard. I think he's elusive. I think he hits holes hard. Kamari Moulton, 4 for 43, 10.8 average. This was a near perfect running day for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Jacob Gill continues to be the leading wide receiver for Iowa, 5 receptions, 44 yards, 8.8 a catch. Caden Wetchin, 1 for 33. Luke Lachey, 3 for 25. That's not enough. Luke Lachey needs to be far more involved. Luke Lachey needs to be getting at least 50 yards every single game. Every single game, Luke Lachey needs to be getting 50 yards, at least. You have one of the best tight ends in the country, and it's like he's non-existent for the Iowa Hawkeyes at this point. Jarrett Bowie, is nice to see him have a catch, 19 yards. Caleb Brown, first catch of the season, 1 catch for 18 yards. And then Addison Ostranga, 5 for 9 yards, 1.8 a catch. Terrell Washington Jr., 1 for 5. And that was pretty much that. Last but not least, guys, and we'll look at the team stats. Iowa, again, had a nice day, yardage and moving the football. It's just, and again, they were able to score over 31 points. Today would have been really solid had the defense not let up the way they did. I can live with Iowa's lack of in the passing game, especially if the run it needs to be better. But if Iowa is able to put 31 points on the board, that's fantastic. My biggest concern is Iowa's defense. Allowing 21 points from Troy is not excusable. Um, I mean, I would take every day of the week Iowa having 400 or more yards of total offense, especially over 450. Iowa had 462. They still only gave up 253, most of those by 260-yard passes, 229 to 178. Rush yards 24 to 284, yards per play 6.7, 5.4. And Iowa had 25 first downs. That's excellent. They were 7 of 13 third down. That's solid. Time of possession 36-19. So last but not least, Iowa special teams struggled mightily in the return game. They gave up a touchdown. That's certainly part of it. And so I don't want to get on the Iowa defense too much, because if Iowa did, now to me, special teams is an extension of defense. But Iowa's defense alone only gave up 14 points. So if you put it in that context, it's not as bad. The special teams gave up a touchdown. Again, once Big Ten play hits, which it will next week, that is not excusable. So if I were to rate how everybody did offense, I would give them a B, a solid B. The pass game, I'd give like a D. The run game, an A plus. Iowa's defense, I'd give a B minus. Special teams, I'd give a D. And those would be my grades for today. Run game, of course, like I said, A plus. We're going to look at the Big Ten scores really quick before I get out of here. And then we'll wrap it up. I might do a Big Ten whip round show tomorrow. We'll see. I just don't have a ton of time, guys. That's the problem is, a Big Ten whip round, it has to be done like the Sunday or at the latest Monday or Tuesday of the following week. But I mean, honestly, Tuesday is probably too late. Nebraska won 34-3. Maryland's up on Virginia 2013. Northwestern beat Eastern Ill. Indiana beat UCLA. That's a good victory for them. Michigan State beat Prairie View. Oops. Sorry, guys. Alabama smoked Wisconsin. But you know what? I love Wisconsin playing Alabama. I am so tired of Iowa playing Iowa State. I hate that game. I'm tired of it. I want Iowa to, and I've said this for many years, I want Iowa to start playing Iowa State every other year. And I know a lot of fans feel the same way. And I think most out of state Iowa fans feel that way. Iowa fans that don't live in the state of Iowa. Michigan barely beat Arkansas State. Well, 28-18. They still won by 10 points. Notre Dame smashed Purdue 66-7. Wow. Illinois beat Central Miss 39. Minnesota beat Nevada 27-0. Washington lost to Washington State. And that is it. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to smash that subscribe button at the very least. Like, comment. You guys know the drill. It helps the video out a lot in the algorithm. The more you guys comment, like, and last but not least, DVAP, don't be a pussy with low facts or feelings, because your feelings just don't matter. Iowa Hawkeyes win 38-21. I will see you guys next time. Go Hawks. Bye-bye.